Hello and welcome to Red Tent Sisters TV. I'm Kim Sedgwick.
And I'm Amy Sedgwick.
And we are the co-founders of Red Tent Sisters. Today we're answering an Ask the Sisters question. Someone asked us, why is FAM not more popular?
Yeah, the biggest reason from my perspective is that it's like totally always conflated with the rhythm method, which is not effective at all. So people just don't think it's effective, which is really sad. The rhythm method is not the same thing as other fertility awareness-based methods. The rhythm method started out basically based on research back in the 1930s, which at the time was like pretty revolutionary. Yeah. It showed that, on average, ovulation happened 14 days before a period. So for people who had regular periods every 25 to 35 days, that was a pretty predictable timing. And so they could kind of say, this is when you're fertile, and they had like a whole calculation for it. So, for people with those regular cycles, it was quite, reliable at the time.
Yeah.
However, there are lots of people who don't have regular cycles, and even people who do have regular cycles often suddenly don't have a regular cycle. So if you're traveling, or you're sick, or you're stressed out, or you're going through a major reproductive change in your life, so adolescence, perimenopause, postpartum, it just doesn't work. And so that method tends to be very ineffective, and
you were conceived on that method.
The rhythm method, and I think most people know someone who is the product of the rhythm method. And so if you think that fertility awareness is the same, you're
not going to trust it.
Yeah, rightfully so. Fertility awareness-based methods currently, like modern versions, are so much more precise. We're not just looking at prediction. We're looking at like things that we know physiologically on a day-to-day basis tell us whether or not we're fertile. So cervical mucus allows sperm to survive, and it happens right before ovulation, and it can be accurately tracked if you're taught properly. Basal body temperature shifts right after ovulation. It confirms ovulation. Once the egg is gone, it's gone for the rest of the cycle. So there's all of these things that we now know physiologically about the reproductive cycle that allow us to get really accurate with it. And research on one of the fertility awareness method that's used in Europe, basically, is really incredible. Like, with perfect use, it was 99.4% effective, and even in typical use, 98.6% effective. Now, not all fertility awareness methods use the exact same rules, so we can't always rely on that particular study. There will be some variation, but most research reports show, a failure rate of about 1 or 2% per year, which is really good.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's very effective. So, but sadly, as I said, it's still so conflated with the rhythm method, and that's one of the major reasons why people don't use it.
Yeah. I think the other reason people don't use it is they don't necessarily know about it. It's not advertised, right? When you go on the subway, you see ads for the birth control pill because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. They have the money for all of those ads.
Yeah.
Fertility awareness isn't a product. You're not selling something, right? And actually, the information that you learn, once you have it for life. So it's very different than...
It's very much like a grassroots, get to know your body kind of thing. It's not a commercial.
It's not a thing. Yeah. So I think that's a big part of it, is that you just don't see it in the same kind of way.
Yeah.
And similarly, when you do see it, it's misrepresented. So when you're talking about the confusion around the rhythm method, I see that all the time in media. So when I'm looking for articles to post on our social media pages, I want to tear my hair out because 9 times out of 10, the articles totally misrepresent it. Headlines will say things like fertility awareness, aka the rhythm method. Like right in the headline, they're confusing the two things, right?
Yeah.
And I often see these from really otherwise reputable organizations, media outlets. There was one in the New York Times that was confusing the two, right? So when you're used to being able to trust these authorities and then suddenly they're misrepresenting things, but you don't know that, right? It makes sense why people are confused.
Yeah, absolutely. And along the same lines in terms of authority figures, a lot of people who go to their doctors or to a birth control clinic for advice are told by health professionals who are supposed to know about these things that same misinformation. So obviously if, your doctor tells you, oh yeah, that doesn't work, then you're going to trust them. We've been taught to totally trust what our doctor says. So that's a real disadvantage too. And I don't want to totally blame doctors. I understand that they get very little education when it comes to sexuality and birth control. Like, it's a very small percentage of the curriculum of overall med school. And some of them come from generations where it was only the rhythm method that was available. So if they haven't been, updated on all the new physiological evidence and research evidence that supports the use of fertility awareness methods, then they just won't provide it.
Yeah.
And then that said, on the topic of doctors, even those who are, maybe educated about it, maybe a bit younger and more knowledgeable about the research and the information that's come out about it, they may be reluctant to recommend it to their patients if they don't know where their patients can go to get the support for it.
Yeah.
Because most doctors either are not in a position to teach it, most of them either don't have the information or training, because it's a pretty extensive training, but even if they did, most doctors don't have the time to sit down with their patients and go over this information. So they're going to want to make sure that they can refer their client to someone, and they may not know who to refer them to. Yeah. So that's a big issue as well. And I'm hoping that that's going to change, because we're getting a lot more people becoming educated to become fertility awareness educators like myself, or HRHPs, and we're trying to liaise with more medical professionals so that they know where to refer their patients.
Yeah.
But that's certainly a major barrier.
For sure. And the last one that I just want to touch on is that I think a lot of people assume it's harder than it is, which again, I think it's misrepresented in media, often sounds like it's this hard thing to do. And we live in a society where we're used to just taking a pill. We don't have to think about it. It takes 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And so I think people think, oh, it's all this stuff I'm going to have to do, which can you just bust that myth? Because it's really not that hard.
Yeah, no, it's really not. Once you know how to do all this, it should take less than 5 minutes a day. Like it really does. There is definitely an upfront learning investment. You're either going to have to read a book or attend a workshop, and at the beginning you might have to kind of cross-reference what you're seeing with those books or those resources, but within 2 or 3 months you really shouldn't be spending more than 5 minutes a day in order to get it right. And I personally believe that that investment of time is so worth it because of all of the benefits that you get out of it, not just from contraception, but for overall reproductive health. It's an amazing tool for monitoring our health.
It really is. So there's lots of information on our website, programs, our Eco-Contraception program, as well as some others. You can find all of those at redtentsisters.com. If you have a question you'd like us to answer here, you can send it to thesisters@redtentsisters.com. You can also find us on social media. We're at Red Tent Sisters on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.